his approach stats right now are like vintage Morikawa.
He is cuss one and done this week.
Oh, what is he doing? How does Cuss even know these things? Did you talk about it?
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog Fantasy. Code Mayo, Underdog Fantasy. Right now, get yourself a deposit bonus of up to $250. Geoff Fienberg on the line with me. Do you have any money left to wager on golf? Because I figured you gave every cent that you had to the Trump GoFundMe.
No. That's not me. That's not me. I mean, I have thought about making a contribution. Do you want me to get into it? But it ain't to Trump. It ain't to Trump. There's a couple states where I would consider getting invested, though. I mean it. I mean it.
How did you?
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. I don't want to get into it, but it's like, I'm here for the humor of the next like half a year on the internet, you know.
And then you'll log back out, and we'll focus on golf again.
No, I'm always focusing on golf. I'm always focusing on golf. I don't know that that's a fair portrayal of. I love that picture. I really don't think that's a fair portrayal of me, but okay.
I had to throw you off. It's
no, I
would
never donate. I would never donate. I'd never.
To Trump or to anyone. Just no donations ever.
Okay. To Trump for sure. Ever no, because there's someone in Minnesota who I would consider funding the other people.
Jesse Ventura?
No. That's it. That would be the extent of any political contributions.
You always do.
I'm a voter. I don't contribute. I've never contributed to anything.
Like and you always do a good job raising money.
My cousin bugs me. He runs a campaign for the local guy. Like, just leave me alone about it. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, your money goes to St. Jude's during the St. Jude Classic and raise money for that.
Yeah, my money goes to that. And yeah, I mean, there are guys that are on the charity bet. Like, if I bet Norin, that comes with the charity bet. I think from this point on, Cam Young will get charity bet distinction. But yeah, that went off the rails. I love that meme. And yeah, I have an account on Rumble. I will own those things.
Canadian Open delivers again on a Sunday, Geoff. The Sundays of the Canadian Open have been fantastic. I know we had that 2-year break, so we lost 2020 and 2021, hence why you were mad that there was no Canadian Open, so you had to donate to Trump. But even 2019, when it was in Hamilton and Rory shot 61 in the final round, like that was still exciting. It was a lot like Wells Fargo a few weeks ago. Like when Rory catches fire and is at the very top of his game. It is probably the most compelling stuff to watch outside of like Spieth being on a heater, because it's just like absolutely insane what he's able to do sometimes from the middle of the trees or chipping in from 3 bunkers away and hitting it off a bunker, yet somehow it rolls in. But the past 3 seasons really, when Rory won at St. George's, last year at Oakdale, and even this year, when Bobby started slipping out of the gate, Bobbert McIntyre, it brought everyone back into play, and like Tom Kim and Rory playing together and both kind of going off. Ben Griffin starting out hot. My guy, Big Dick Vic Perez, making a run early. Couldn't quite birdie 17, although it wouldn't have mattered in the end, but he could have put, not a ton of pressure, but some pressure on Bobby Mack on the final hole. But I just thought it was a very exciting day, and it kind of worked out because it was a bit rainy in the morning, so guys could just go fire at pins, which they were not able to do on Friday or Saturday.
I was so proud. I was so proud of Hamilton. I was so proud of Golf Canada, of this event. I really do hope it's RBC posturing and they can at least, keep this good vibes going. You're right, Pat. It's been great. I have a bias, but I thought it was great. Thought the course was great. I thought we got that fun Sunday. You mentioned the Rory win. For an event like this and all the events in this sort of tier, anytime that high-end player who actually shows up, goes out and wins and dominates, you could argue outside of a local vibe, or in our case, a national vibe, that is like the number one preferred outcome. But it's just been, it was outstanding. It was outstanding. And that Bobby like wobbled multiple times and got himself off the mat. There were those moments on Saturday. He looked like a 9 handicap. Like, he just looked like his every swing in the first hour and a half looked horrible and great for him. Great for him. What a great story between him and Nick Dunlop's win. I would like, there have been so many great personal interest stories that have developed on the Sunday. The dad on the bag. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You can't write that shit. You know, I don't know. I don't even know the story. He had a fight with his caddy. I don't even know. But he brought his dad over, just, you know, needed some good vibes, and holy shit. And credit to people who laid it out perfectly. Some, you know, the huge Bobby Mack tickets that we saw for, you know, Vincenzi hits grenades, right? He doesn't kick the can down the road to survive next couple of weeks, which is, I think we'd argue, the worst strategy. But when Vincenzi's all in all the time, and boom, dynamite. Dave Tyndall had I think first and set, not Perez. Tyndall had Bobby and Tom Kim. I was on Tom Kim, but I was so proud. I really thought the event represented so well, and I love golf and I love Canada, and so it's a great week. And I thought it was another home run. So bang, boom, love it.
We even got the most local Canadian into the mix when Mac Hughes just couldn't dummy any of the easy holes and started sticking it on the hard holes, and then kind of collapsed a little bit on the back nine. I think it was him. I forget who he was playing with, but it was him and whoever the hell. It may have been Ryan Fox, and they just didn't make a birdie. They didn't make a birdie on the back nine until Fox almost made the hole-in-one on the rink hole. That was the one thing I was disappointed about all week. I really didn't like that hole for the rink hole. It didn't feel as intimate as it had the last 2 years, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that whole thing is kind of overplayed, but as these events, you sort of need that thing to focus in on, and that is good for them. And I mentioned to you, unfortunate for Mac, like Taylor came a bit from the clouds, right? He did. He came a bit from the clouds to post, to have sort of, he kicked into high gear on Saturday. Obviously, he had a horrible Thursday, and he didn't play with the pressure in some ways. It would be a totally different animal when a Canadian is actually in the hunt from the middle of the tournament on, going out late. Like that animal of pressure that we put on, it's still there. Granted, it does feel like an elephant is off all of their backs since that did go down. I can't stand Ben Griffin's face. He is that shit-eating Brandon Staley grin. Golf fans say it's Matt Kuchar. I can see that. But I just see the shit-eating Brandon Staley. Oh my defense just got shredded again. Look on his face, who probably should have won yesterday, the way he was stuck sticking the ball and couldn't hit a putt until, I guess, like the 14th hole or something. But he was inside 12 feet all day, it seemed.
He was early, and just, it was funny because you had Bobby Mack, and the reason that he had his dad on the caddy was apparently he started feeling homesick being away from Europe for the first time ever. So he just, like, for a change of vibes, like, he didn't fire his caddy. They didn't get into an argument or anything like that. He just said, you know, I'm going to bring my dad out. He's going to travel with me for like 2 weeks, be on the bag this week, and then he's going to go home. And then he ends up winning because of it. I don't think that he's going to play at Memorial based on what he said after the round. He's currently still in the field as we record this, but it did sound like he wanted to go back to Scotland and go on a bender for a week.
Yeah, I think he's going to recalculate it, though.
Probably.
I really do. Because there's no to go. I know he could fly private, but he's going to go home, bend for a week, and then play in the U.S. Open. I mean, someone is probably going to be like, Bobby, your dad's going to go on a bender this week. You are going to play in this elevated event while you're in good form, and we're going to lead into a major championship, and then you do whatever the hell you want. Just logistically, I guess if he lived in Sarasota, maybe he would be more likely to withdraw this week, and not like they can't just hop on a bird and get where they need to. I think push comes to shove, he's going to play and then celebrate, have just a big banger out after the US Open. But yeah, credit Cam Stewart, Scottish. Tim kind of sometimes looks like Bobby Mack.
But Bobby Mack's dropped a few LBs over the past few years. He's looking less and less like Tim. He kind of looks like Tim's son at this point.
And on that note, I don't know. You hit me with that Trump stuff. I'd like the show last week with Geoff and Cam. You got into some of that Trudy stuff going on there with their, Cam's brother in Calgary and, Geoff out there. So go Oilers. Let's go.
Very good. You're really excited about the Oilers, are you?
I got a future. I like Zach Hyman. He's got his charity tournament at my club in a few weeks. He always does
of course he does. I mean, the only reason he scores in the NHL is because his dad pays for it. Didn't you hear that? He's like the Pearson Cootie of the NHL.
I think there's probably way richer dads in the NHL too. No, whatever.
Was it Mike Comrie's dad who owned the Brick and was a billionaire?
Yeah. Mike Comrie's dad did own the Brick. That was crazy. That's crazy. Shout out. I would argue, in some ways, it's like harder because you don't have that like grit. Well, no, I'm saying you could develop it, but it's just every day ends with like a plush pillow. So to be able to do it sometimes from that standpoint, give them all the credit in the world. No, I don't know anyone. I got a lot of friends with rich dads. They got 0 NHL goals. And one of them was drafted in the 2nd round. How many NHL goals? 0.
Tough break for that guy. Did you think that Bobby Mack, if given the chance, would have taken his putter to one of those CBS drones like Shooter McGavin did to the beach ball, if given the opportunity?
So I was listening to the radio. I caught the first part of it on TV. And then by the 3rd time it happened, it was on the radio, and the radio might have been picking up more of it than TV, but he was pissed. He brought a rules official in to be like, don't you dare put me on the clock. Like this is, and then he even had a comment that the mic picked up that this was an American or Canadian, you'd be leaving him alone. I don't know. Yeah, he got really into it. I've never seen Rom is sometimes yelled at camera. Men. I've never seen a dude wait for the drone, but I guess it makes sense. I don't know. All the power to him. He waited till he was ready to fire, and he fired great shots all day. So his process worked.
He did. Do you think it was more that the drone was actually bothering him, or he was just kind of melting down a little bit because of the pressure, and like any little thing starts to set you off at that point?
Maybe, but there was one in a bunker, right? He was in the bunker and he stuck the bunkers, like hit a 9.5 out of 10 bunker shot after yelling at the drone. So I don't know. I mean, he was just so really like how he had the multiple bounce backs in different points was really just outstanding.
Well, he won this tournament on Saturday when he was 5 under through the final 5 holes after being pretty middling, because Ryan Fox had jumped out to a 4-stroke lead. It's funny that I didn't end up on Bobby Mack after the entire week preaching kind of Open Championships, Wentworth, all these guys. And, there's Victor Perez. There's Ryan Fox, who just won there. Rory. I mean, Lowry just couldn't make a putt to save his life day 1, and that was the end of him. But all these guys that fit the narrative, but the guy that probably fits it the most, you were like, I was like, no chance on Bobby Mack. Dude can't putt.
He'll probably put you.
What's that now?
No, because you said it. I think what I was going to say, but you said it. You looked at that leaderboard in 19, and outside of Rory, it was guys who are truly known for being really good putters. Bobby was outside top 100 this year, but he found it, and he was hitting everything. And was it Friday? It might have been Friday. On Friday, he hit like a 20-footer for par on 18. Just outstanding. Like, don't really follow the stats as it was going, but when you see the actual putting numbers, yeah, I guess it matched the perception in my head of what was happening.
Oh, for sure. Everyone inside the top 13 gained strokes putting. The only guy that kind of gave it away on the greens based on how well he played and where he was at. And I didn't look at the round by round, but I assume he lost, I don't know, 10 strokes putting on Sunday was Sam Burns.
Tough one.
If you had money on Sam Burns and to watch him, especially out of the gate on Saturday, you're like, he has a birdie putt on every hole. And he's just missing these putts. And like a couple, like it was a lot. It was very reminiscent to Amex, although he ended up capturing the lead at Amex and then just kind of melted down on 16 and 17 at PGA West. But he was just kind of burning edges right around the hole. They just weren't dropping for him. And then today, zero drop for him on Sunday in Hamilton. I really like Hamilton as a golf course, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. I thought it was really cool.
Fantastic. Beautiful.
Hard,
Hopefully
too. A good amount of hard.
I actually think what Golf Canada got out of Oakdale and Hamilton, which is harder than Oakdale, like just truly 5 stars when you look back on it, and in some ways very, very similar. Just outstanding, just outstanding, and you hope they would go back.
They'll go back. They'll go back to Hamilton for sure. I mean, this is what, the 6th time that it's hosted the Canadian Open. I assume it'll be back in 5 years, 6 years, whatever it might be. I actually have banked a show for the U.S. Open already, the Pinehurst Course Breakdown. I did it with Keith Stewart of Read the Line. He joined me last night. We went over it. We were actually talking about the Canadian Open because it had just finished. Wanted to get that show in the can for release this weekend. Me and Vincenzi are actually doing the player-by-player breakdown, which comes out on Friday. That's going to be fire, fighting about people at the U.S. Open. But even to think about, like, what is, because we talked a little bit off air about Valhalla, and he was kind of not necessarily pro Valhalla, but he's like, sometimes it happens. He's like, the guy who played the best won. That's really all that you want. It wasn't gimmicky. It was just soft, and it turned out to be super easy. But people were mad at the winning score, but people were also mad at the Women's Open this weekend that it was just way too hard. And like the cut was +8 or something like that, that it was absolutely unfair at times. And that's what you see at the USGA, what would you rather have? Would you rather have a USGA setup where it's legitimately unfair, or something that goes off the rails a little bit and is too easy? Obviously, you'd want somewhere in between. That is the ideal sort of outcome for any of this. But I think I would lean towards the better shot makers get rewarded rather than great shots get penalized because the course is set up in just indignant ways. But I think for an average PGA Tour event, this is kind of the realm of the winning score where you want to be. 15, 14, 13, where you still can blow up. Like, there were bogey holes. We just didn't see a ton of them on Sunday because of the rain in the morning and everything became too soft.
I think that was all quite well said. I do agree. I'd rather see good shots. I don't know. The problem is sometimes you want good shots to be rewarded. I think that is what we want. And trying to get the fine line. The USGA tries to walk a tightrope. And the second you lose a bit on the hard side, we've seen historically, you can just lose it. And then it becomes unplayable, and even good shots aren't rewarded. What I think most people get annoyed with in some ways, almost like Valhalla, is there was really no place for bad shots, or there wasn't, bad shots like around the green seemed pretty easy. And we saw so many chip-ins, like bad shots just weren't penalized.
True, but what would you?
Valhalla could be the bad example.
What would you rather see, though?
Right.
What would you rather see? Would you rather see Valhalla and how it played, or that Saturday at Shinnecock when Phil hit his ball before it stopped moving and people were just like, "This is stupid"?
I would sometimes a little bit of both. I don't care. Like, whatever happens, if that happens, it happens. I give the PGA of America the benefit of the doubt. They've done such an incredible job the last few years. And obviously there's some logistics reasons why they like Valhalla so much. And going back to what you guys were talking about on your best bet show, Pat, is there's just no way Golf Canada is going to lead. Like every year you're reading like bigger build out, like they advertise bigger build out, more tents, more this, more that. They're not leaving that like that. They're not leaving that. And if you can't allow them to do that, then you're not, it doesn't matter how nice your course is. They're just not going to do it. I do believe though, Golf Canada, they should, because the USAs are booked way in advance. If they had a heart, they would just, and it would end up in Toronto a lot because so many U.S. Opens are pretty much Northeast or even North, Eastern Midwest in some respects. Just try to line it up. When the U.S. Open's out West, let the Canadian Open be out West. Well, I guess now we're not even the week before. My head is still like we're always the week before. I'm still not over. I made plans for whatever. Never. No one cares about that. I think we'll be the week before again in the future, though, will we not?
I don't know. Was there a reason why it was switched up this year? Was it the players saying we want to play a signature event, a major, and then another signature event in back-to-back-to-back weeks? Because it really seems to hamstring the Canadian Open. I saw Cust came out and he said that he much preferred when the Canadian Open was over Labor Day weekend. Like they don't even have golf on Labor Day anymore. That is done for by the time football comes around.
No, that was backbreaking, and that was an FU, a fuck you from the old PGA Tour commissioner to Golf Canada because we kicked out like the alcohol and tobacco sponsors. We were the first ones to do that. Then we moved the date and then we're lucky Bell joined up. That's when the trophy was an ugly whale too, I think. Yeah, no, Labor Day is horrible. And I do think you're right. This is what we've talked about it before. This current version of player, they don't care about what's best for the fan. They're a member-only organization, and they want to play a lot in bunches and then have time off and then play a lot in bunches. Play a lot in bunches for a lot of money. Don't play a lot in bunches for a lot of money. That is what it seems like the schedule intentions are going forward, as decided by the best players.
One thing I didn't enjoy about the broadcast, because it kind of hit me after it was over, I think they had made mention of it like just very briefly towards the end, but they don't do enough to hype up the Aon Next 5, which I do think is, if you're going to build up these signature events and you're going to limit the amount of players that can be in them, actually qualifying for those is a big deal to a lot of these players. And we ended up seeing Vic Perez and I think it was Ben Griffin take the final 2 spots to get into Memorial, which also got you into the Travelers. And they did like a decent job of talking about that. But I forgot that this was one of the legs of the Open Championship qualifying, that the top 3 players in this field who had not yet qualified for Troon in a month get into the field. So Ben Griffin, Mac Hughes, and who was the other one? Mav McNeely, who stormed the leaderboard on Sunday, got himself into the Open Championship. Like that should have been a big deal.
2 straight weeks, Matt. Sunday heater, Matt.
Yeah, showdown Mav. If you're playing your higher and lower on Underdog, use Mav McNeely if he's offered on a Sunday, I guess.
I think that's super cool that we have that affiliation.
But they don't talk about it.
Should I can't. I don't even know how to help them on what to talk about.
All right. Anything
I
else?
agree. I don't know. I see the tweets at the end. This guy got in Aon 5. I'm like, cool. Shit. There's that loser here. So now I might bet on him. We'll see. Prefer them not have it. I don't need Alex Noren here. Not that I bet him last week. Not that I bet him in a while. Not that I bet him. You said bet Noren to miss the cut. I don't know if you actually did it, Pap. You said that's got to be the play. That's got to be the play. That's got to be. You got to you get the juiced up miss the cut number because this bozo's 25-1 to win a golf tournament.
Andy was Cuss one and done pick. That really should have been the dead giveaway, I think.
I don't even know if we saw the number, but you said I'll be looking for it. Just a shout on that. Been great at Memorial. Been great here.
Let's get to Memorial then, now that we're wrapped up with Canada. Yeah, this is one of the better events of the year. Last year, I went back and watched the last 3 years of the Memorial. I totally forgot that 2 years ago was when Rahm got COVID after the 3rd round when he was winning by 1 billion strokes. And then Cantlay ended up beating Morikawa. I also forgot that Morikawa withdrew from this last year with a back injury in the final round before the round started.
Oh, I forgot about that. Everything else I totally remembered. Everything else, because nothing but great memories here. I've been so freaking spoiled here, Pat. I can't even complain about my bad beat when Justin Rose's wife was literally counting her money. Like she was counting it on 18. And Lingworth hit something, then they went to a 3-hole playoff and we lost that one. But from the Vic last year, I cashed Cantley on the ROM the ROM COVID. I hit the ROM big number here. Like when
20.
At one point Rom was struggling a few years ago, he got into the 20s here when he won here. Been great here. Oh, I love this place. I love Hideki here, like 35. Love this place.
So
love it.
You see, you mentioned that there's always some sort of weird controversy which happens. So we had the Rom COVID thing. We had the Morikawa back last year. Remember during the Rom win, people were like, "Oh, his ball moved behind 7,
Fluffed it. Yeah,
6. Yeah, he fluffed it up and then ended up chipping it in on that. Hideki got DQ'd because he had the whiteout on his 3-wood.
Oh, always. Yeah, what a great one. And all the milkshakes to boot. And you would argue, because we've really only had one outlier winner here, the Billy Ho.
Ooh, I don't know about that. There's been
recently, Willie McGirt, like recently.
We had we had Lingmirth beat Rose. We had Dirt McGirt end up winning. Duffner won from fucking the clouds over everyone. It's not like Duffner was good then. He just dominated that week. And then he bled it all back and it looked like Ricky was going to win. And then Duffner like kicked back into gear and won.
Okay, but I'd say in the last like 5 or 6 years, it's really become a high end winners.
I would say this has been a breakthrough place for a lot of people. Like this was Bryson's first big win. This was Cantlay's first big win. I would say this was Vic's first big win too last year.
Historic Bryson.
I said Bryson, but yes.
Yeah. I bet. Sorry,
Hideki,
that was also
Hideki was like a breakthrough win for him at the time.
Even Matt Kuchar when he won here, maybe had already won the Players. But yeah, no, you're not wrong. This has been the site of, at the time of the win, it was like clearly these great young players, their biggest win to date. Oh my God. I didn't watch no replay yesterday, Pat, but my memory of the Vic win last year, despite some burnt Denny McCarthy edges, was there was a point in the middle of the round, he just like hit a chip like 2 feet. And you thought, shit, this is probably it. This is it.
Yeah, I rode that with you last year. That was exciting. And I forgot that Scheffler lost 8.5 strokes putting at this tournament last year and missed the playoff by a stroke.
You just remember what you narrowed in on my like happy time. Oh, that was so freaking good. That was so good. I caught up. But Bodog posted a bad line that morning. I hit it. I was at the ultrasound finding out I'm having a boy. That was there were good vibes all around that week. Still get some tingles. Oh, it was so, because Vic was it's so funny. That was the start of like Vic summer insanity, despite no majors, which does, suck, but he's so young. You don't have to worry about it. Because it was still like, oh, Vic, the choke artist, sort of. Like, not the choke artist, but like Vic the bridesmaid everywhere. Augusta, Bay Hill, even the PGA last year. He gave Brooks all he could give Brooks last year. Couldn't win. And they finally like showed so many stones on that back nine and then went on to have that insane summer tour championship.
You know what? One of my favorite, it's not even my favorite memorial. My favorite Muirfield Village was the COVID year when they played the back-to-back weeks, and we got the Thomas versus Morikawa versus Hovland showdown the week before when the course played a little bit easier, a little bit shorter, and then they absolutely like burnt it out the next week. That was the year that Rahm won, and like there was like 4 guys under par.
The Rahm JT one though, is that when there were 2 like insane putts on 18?
No, that was in the playoff. That Morikawa made like the 40-footer to extend the playoff, and then JT ended up behind the tree on the next playoff hole, and that was it. And Vic almost got there.
Yeah, great. Oh yeah, Jack was pissed at how easy it played in the first leg of the back-to-back, so we made it extra spicy in that second leg. Yeah, you're right. We always get a bit of something here, and it's the week before a major. That's exciting. We'll get to LIV. I'm sure they're playing. I looked at U.S. Open odds, Pat. I was curious to see if Rom Anywhere is riding the ladder. No, they're gonna like wait to see what he does this week before they put him on that ladder that they put him on at the PGA. I'm not like, remember last year when JT like got to 20 and people like, how do you not bet JT at 20? And like, how do you not bet him at 25? How do you not bet him at 30? And then boom, boom, boom. And okay, fine. You got committed to a ladder of sorts. I know it would only be in major championships, and I don't bet JT for shit. I'm actually enjoying him not winning. Maybe he'll win this week. I hope not. But if they want to like ladder Rom and majors, I like continuously, I think will have to just ride that out. I was on him at that horrible PGA. I think I'd go back if they spice it again.
They got Brooks at 20 right now. It just seems like a good bet.
What? I'm not betting it, but if any of my casuals friends called me, like wanted to make a bet, be like, that's the bet for you. Like, you know, they'd probably know you don't need to ask someone about that either. Like you want to bet, you want someone for the weekend, you want a winner. Only good players going to win a major. Last summer, we got Wyndham and Brian Harmon. Wyndham became good.
Hold on, but I think that Pinehurst, although it is the perfect course for Scotty Scheffler, I do think that Pinehurst in general is more open to a long shot winner than your traditional U.S. Open course. Not to say that's going to happen, but you can ride a real hot putter and you're going to need a lot of luck at Pinehurst, or at least avoid bad luck, because you can get yourself into those runoff areas and you're fucked.
So essentially Pinehurst, because pretty much since we've started doing shows, the USGA is pretty much the Dustin Johnson player profile, like different versions of it. In some ways, people, have become better chippers and putters way younger than Dustin ever did, but just that long and straight. And if you don't do that, I don't really have any interest in you. And you're saying this year, my betting card should be just all over the map profiles.
Maybe. I mean, even when you look at like who did well, and there's one correlation that I found. I talked it through with Keith, and I'll spoil it right now. If people want to get a head start on U.S. Open research, we'll have everything loaded up on Fantasy National, fantasynational.com/Mayo to get yourself 20% off. You want to dig in, you get the 2-for-1. Get Memorial on Wednesday for the weekly, and then you get all the U.S. Open as well to make your lineups and do your research Wednesday to Wednesday. Make it easy on yourself. I think it's $8 after the discount. So if you ever want to get in, now is the time to get in. Then you get yourself that app. And that's really what you want in all of this. Help me. I helped Paul out last week, and Paul kind of gave me the idea of use the app to track and look at guys to play sort of the placement market, top 5, top 10, and top 20. I ended up making a big Vic Perez top 10 bet on Saturday when he started making his move and the books hadn't caught up yet. And I was like, all right, this is what I'm doing this weekend. I'm going to win all my money back to break even for the week because all my guys absolutely tanked this week at the Canadian Open. Just broke even because of Vic Perez and a plus 160 number that came out and bet it hard because I was feeling it. Ended up working out. So shout out to the app on that one, fantasynational.com/Mayo. But to look at the top 10, because that was after the restoration in 2014, Brooks ended up coming inside the top 4. DJ, your guy, ended up coming inside the top 4. But it was, we had Compton who tied for second with Ricky. But let me throw some of these names of the top 10 at you and tell me what you think that they have in common. Martin Keimer, Ricky Fowler, Adam Scott, Henrik Stenson. All those guys came inside the top 9 of the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. What would you say that they have in common?
Flushers?
They all won at Sawgrass.
Okay. Interesting.
And Sawgrass is another course that doesn't really have a ton of rough near the greens, that you can kind of get tricky any way that you want. You can pull like the Stu Sink at Heritage and just putt from, that's what Keimer did. Keimer putted from both off the green at the Players' Championship when he won earlier that year before Pinehurst. He did the exact same thing at Pinehurst as well. That just guys that are crappy around the greens have a few more options at Pinehurst because the lies are so tight. You don't get that thick rough. You might blow off into the pine straw or that like waste area if it takes a bad roll or you end up in a bunker. But a lot of the times if you miss a green, which a lot of these greens do funnel off if you don't get to the right level, that you can start pulling out the Texas wedge if you want to. Keep the ball on the ground. A lot like what we saw in Houston, actually, earlier this year with those green complexes.
Okay. What I would note about the players in recent history, even, disregard Scotty going back to back is, as we note during Players Week, is it's really become like a super elite week, like at the time, right? Rory, Cam Smith, JT, so much like a major championship, like despite, and even look at who is battling for the Players this year. Despite in the past, we've had some really weird guys up there at the Players in recent years, from like Westwood to Lahiri. You can probably think of other jabronis who have like lasted a really long time. Brian Harmon this year.
Oh, I even forgot.
So yeah,
I even forgot to mention Jason Day was inside the top 10 too. Another Players Championship winner. Matt Kuchar came in 12th. Another Players guy. So it means Hideki's going to win since he's the ultimate Players Champion.
I guess, yeah. Hideki, Scotty, 2-man cards. What is Scotty to win the? I got it.
4-1. He's 4-1.
Yeah. I mean, I would never because I like to have fun, but fun losing money.
Anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
That does. Okay. So I would say that does. I mean, there are a lot of players who bring that U.S. Open profile who you love. I guess in some ways this isn't like the perfect Bryson venue then.
That's what I was thinking as well. But I mean, we've seen Bryson come second at the Players. He had the ultimate strategy that week. And I think what it has to do, because I was looking into some of the driving distance and driving accuracy splits, and someone like Keimer gained a bunch of distance for the week. I was like, how does that make any sense? Like, even at his peak, it's not like Keimer was a long drive champion. It's just he hit so many goddamn fairways that if you miss the fairway here, it's not like the ball just stops because you're in the sand or whatever the hell that you're in, that if you actually do hit the fairway, the ball is actually going to roll out and then your driving distance is a lot better.
And I love Bryson. I just think maybe coming off the PGA, there's just like a lot of like blind Bryson love, US Open bomber. And granted, he played very well at the Masters, which, you know, is not necessarily just a bombing gouge location. He's so good he could do it. I'd still be jealous of any of the futures. This is the final leg, Pat. It's the final leg, and it's not 100. We had 100 at the Masters. We had 100 at the PGA. My Ludwig ticket this next week is 60. Apparently still wearing a brace. I got a Neiman 80 or 100. So those are my futures. Oh, and I bet Sahith a couple weeks ago.
I have one,
which you said might not be great, but
yeah, maybe it is. Listen, I lose betting on people every week. Like, why wouldn't it be great? If you just take guys that I don't take, then you're probably off to the races. I just saw LIV this week for LIV Houston. They're really tailoring this towards Cust. Do you know who is playing the event on the Saturday at LIV? The musical guest?
I'm trying to think. A Matchbox 20?
No, Cust proclaimed him to be one of the 5 best rappers of all time. And no, it is not Dylon.
Snoop Dogg? I don't know. There's no gig he doesn't do. I'm trying to think who would like.
Snoop Dogg's actually here tonight. He is playing in Halifax tonight.
I don't.
The answer is Macklemore, who Cust thinks is a top 5 rapper.
No comment.
Cust also thought the song California Love came out in 2012, as of like this weekend, despite Tupac having been dead for almost 20 years at that point.
I'll tell Cust a couple things about the Macklemore fellow. I'll get him right off that bandwagon quickly, I promise.
Well, we are filming the Custies 1 week from today, so it's probably the time to do it. Let's talk about the top odds.
No, it's not appropriate.
Oh, okay. So not appropriate for the show. Appropriate for DMs then?
This is information Cust will probably want to know before he's going to head us, whatever. Good for this guy. Good for whatever. Fuck that guy, actually. Good for Cust, but fuck that guy.
Top odds at Jack's Place, Memorial, Muirfield Village. Scotty is plus 375 right now. It's best on market. So 3.75 to 1. Xander is the second favorite at 7. Rory is 8. So those are your big one, the next two, and then there's a little cluster of 4 guys. Colin is 14. Ludwig is 18. Victor is 18. Cantlay is 22. Obviously, Cantlay has won here twice. I will put an asterisk next to his second win because Rahm was going to win that year. I bet Victor at 19 to 1 when it opened.
Cool. I bet him at 18 to an enhanced 20 over at Phillip Rivers this morning. I didn't want to bet the top guys. He's the only good player who like maybe Morikawa, but it was almost by default. So I'm glad to hear someone who wouldn't do something by default with their money also likes the player who I literally am betting by default this week.
I like Colin too. I just wanted a bigger number than 14. I was hoping I would get an 18 or 20. Not that there's that big of a difference, and it'll depend on what I do with the rest of my card. But if I kind of weight them equally, and Victor's, I mean, his ball striking is off the charts good right now. And I actually kind of like Morikawa next week at the U.S. Open. I think Pinehurst is actually a really good course for what he's up to right now. Now that he's somehow learned how to chip and putt. So, he's going to hit some fairways. The irons have returned all of a sudden. So I'll probably just lose money on Morikawa next week. But I'll get back on Vic here. It's a perfect venue for him. And when we think about like his terrible short game, obviously he's back with Joe Mayo. And maybe the chipping could come back a little bit. But just think about all the places where Vic has done well around the greens. A lot of the time, like Memorial, Bay Hill, not that he's like lights out from these places, but when you start getting him to really thick rough, it kind of equalizes the around the green game for a lot of players. It's more just of a gouge out of it, and you have to really temper your weight. It's not like picking it off of tight surfaces, which he's really bad at. So I think this works out really well for him.
So I love to hear all of that. The biggest I've seen on Morikawa, I do think there are some 16s or an enhanced to 16. Maybe just small and powerful is a thought going on in my head this week. Did Rory historically play here, or he just got in because it's elevated? Because I remember he used to not come here, or am I missing that?
I don't really remember. I just don't remember him ever being good here.
So maybe that.
Let's see.
I guess because you'd come.
He has a few top fives over the years. He doesn't have a top 5 finish since 2016. And yeah, he did like play it every year.
I guess Jack, it's like, go, you got to go. Jack sends you an invitation, you go. That'd be the Ludwig. You think he'd be perfect? I don't know. Someone sent me some messages saying they've seen him around. He's got a heavy brace on. Don't feel great about next week.
Yeah, until we can verify his health, he's just an absolute no-go because we're not getting a discount on the price. He's the same price as Victor.
That's what I was going to. Yes, there's no buy-in. This is the price. This would be, unless he had another amazing PGA championship, maybe it'd be like at 14 or something, at 12. But I don't know. If this is a Ludwig discount, like, holy shit, maybe the books think we're giving him a discount. That how he played at the PGA championship, golf is hard. In my short life of being a Ludwig super fan, I've never seen him. Never seen him that out of sorts. Ever. So yeah, that's it. And I don't know. Now Xander's at like ultra rich, but we've seen when he wins, he win. Like,
yeah, he can
been a guy at least
string it together
historically. Yeah, strings. Now we're going based on one incident, right? When it was like the Scottish and the Travelers or something. So I don't know that it's the biggest sample size, but wouldn't be shocked for him to just keep humming around.
Well, one of the reasons that I ended up on Hovland, and one of the reasons that I want to go to Morikawa, obviously Victor has won here in the past, and Morikawa has won at this course, lost in a playoff at the Memorial. Obviously, he fits it really well too, but the dimensions almost mimic Valhalla to the nth degree. It's a Jack design course. It's on bent grass greens. It's a par 72. It's almost exact. I mean, Valhalla I think was a par 70, but they play a very similar length. They're one of the longest courses on the tour that the players have seen. They're some of the smallest greens that the players have seen, and it's been kind of wet in Dublin over the past month or so. So maybe they're a bit more receptive. I think that the rough will be more penal. Obviously, the bunkers are more penal at Muirfield Village than they would be at Valhalla, but they kind of line up side by side. So if you did well at Valhalla, I'm probably going to bet you this week.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of the good players continue to play well. It's been a lot of the same guys. Morikawa continued that form, and then he also couldn't hit putts again. So maybe time to spin that wheel. As someone who never bets him, that's something I'm looking at. The reason, I mean, by default, yes, I love Vic. Yes, I'm betting Vic. But I'd argue there weren't really many other compelling options in a tournament that if you want to bet near the top, I don't know, between the the like 16 and 30, I don't think there's many compelling options.
Yeah,
I'm not going to make a bet there.
Do you really want to bet Patrick Cantlay at 25-1? I don't.
No, you're betting it on course history. Listen, I don't know what's up with this guy. Okay, we got the notification from the John Deere. He's made a commitment. Do you know how down low Patrick Cantlay's got to be feeling to be committing to the John Deere? He's going to his happy place. He always plays well here. If he found his ceiling golf on a comfort course, am I shocked? Absolutely not. Am I investing in that right now? No chance. At least no. Hard no. Rather bet Hideki 33, even though we haven't gotten there. But I don't even think I will.
The only places where Cantlay has played well this year have been the places where he historically plays well. He played well. He should have won Riv and then just gagged it away on Sunday. Ended up coming in fourth. Obviously, he's played Heritage really well in his career. He came third at Heritage, but that's really it for him. He's had some bad performances.
At 25-1 against with this field strength, it's just not enough for me. That is encouraging, though, right? Spieth used to do that in his nut when he dropped to a bit of a nut. We would see that he'd have horrible years. He'd still show up at ball. He'd still like go to his happy places and kind of still play well. So if you wanted to make the bet, that's what I would be latching on to. Literally.
Do you want to hear a fun Spieth stat that someone brought up to me? And it just had never, obviously I knew it, but it just didn't click to me. Spieth has 2 wins in 7 years.
That's okay. There was a Valero. What was it?
Valero and Heritage.
Valero and Heritage?
Yeah. I hit the Heritage one, so that was nice. And he crushed my poor Cam Tringali bet at that Valero.
Which Tim still calls illegitimate win for some field strength. I don't know.
Okay.
He picked on that win for a really long time. He didn't. Not that it matters.
Yeah, previous to that, so he has those 2 wins in 2021 and 2022. His previous win before that was the Open Championship when he took our Matt Kuchar money.
Yeah, I made Kuchar eat a sandwich in the fairway. That's crazy. You knew it, but you didn't. Yeah, sometimes you just got to see it or like see it on the graphic to be like, holy shit. What a guy. What a guy. Yeah, that's it. I don't know. JT, nope. Cantlay, nope. Colin, maybe. And we'll get to this next tier, Pat. But the problem for me is there are guys I like in the next tier. I don't bet each ways, and I'm afraid to bet them because I don't know if they can actually win. So and if you are betting them, maybe you need to do placements against this sort of field, but it's just not how I bet. It's not how I bet.
So I'm with you. And to take a look at this mid-range, like it's funny because there's guys that I like here as well. I just really don't like their numbers. Like I like Ben Ann a lot this week. And I can get him up to 45-1. But I'm like, Wyndham Clark and Max Homa are also 45-1. Am I really going to bet Ben Ann over those guys? Siwoo was very much in the mix here last year. I mean, if he could ever putt again, just once in his life, maybe that could work out for him. Russell Henley is in this mix too. You can get him up to 55, but do I really want to bet him at 55? If I could bet, hell, Denny, who's played well here, Harmon, Tom Kim, Keegan Bradley, Tony Finau, Sam Burns at bigger numbers than Russell Henley, who's playing really well right now. I don't really know what to do. Willie Z opened at like 75 or 80-1. I don't know what's going on there. I get that he's been bad, but like, come on now.
So you've mentioned a few guys. For me, the group would be, it's kind of 3 names. It would be Tony Finau. Can he win? I don't want to bet a placing. It's just not how I roll. Tom Kim, which I've seen as high as 70-1, striping it great. I don't know. You don't want to like read into post interviews, but he's playing, he's feeling good. Like I think it's coming, but can he win? And the one who I would just love to bet. And I swear to you, the first board I looked at this morning on Phillip Rivers, I didn't even think this player was playing because they had him so low, I wasn't even in that range. Now going to other books, I've seen it a lot higher, almost double. Corey Connors, Pat, is playing amazing. his approach stats right now are like vintage Morikawa.
He is cuss one and done this week.
Oh, what is he doing? How does Cuss even know these things? Did you talk about it?
I didn't know, and yeah, I texted him. I was like, who's your pick? Because he probably watched the last 2 hours of the Canadian Open. Like, oh, he made 7 birdies in a row or something. Perfect.
His one and done was Noren. Oh, God. Cuss is big game. Cuss is a big game hunter. Cuss contends in big events, elevated events, majors. Sometimes you got to tell yourself whatever it takes to double click. Corey Connors, he should be, I don't know, if there's ever like a placements bet that my fat thumb is going to make, it might need to be this one. Gained 4.9 at the Canadian Approach, 7.8 at the PGA, 7 at Wells. Was positive at the Heritage. I don't know the Masters number, but 6.8 at Valet. Like, oh my God, he's back. The banana stand.
And he would qualify to be like, if he won this would be his big win.
I don't know if he can.
Me neither. Like, at the same price, I'd rather bet Russell Henley, who I think could win.
No, I would absolutely. That's just me. Like, I don't know. I'll keep my own loser. I don't need to add someone else's loser. I'll bet my own. Oh, he is statistically, he is on one. He is on one. Can he like battle the guys who are truly at the top? Has he ever?
No.
We've kind of seen what happens. Like there've been, he got hit. He double lipped that bunker or something and the Saturday at the PGA, but I don't know. Big boy pants. I'm putting him on. I'm going to make this. I'm betting him to win. I should be taking I don't do it. Out of principle, I will not do it. Whatever. The money when he finishes like 6th or 4th, I'll be like, oh, I could have won a handful of whatever. I don't care. I'll go into the Open week with the U.S. Open week without that placement, Corey Connors money, because I just pressed for the win.
He's the same number as Fitz.
I don't. What's Fitz up to?
Nothing really. He's been bad the past 2 goes. He missed the cut of the PGA. He was like almost last at Quail Hollow. Bad form.
So brings up my point. A lot of intriguing like names you want to back here. Can they actually win? This is a sort of week. I kind of envy the placement guys, the guys that are just like, they're always placements. They don't even think about it. Like they click that placement thing like it's, it's water. That's not me. That's not me. It takes this fat trigger. Like, I don't even know if it could do it.
All right. So I kind of mentioned the guys that I like in this range. I really want to get behind Hideki, but he's been basically bad since the Masters. He's only played twice since the Masters, and he's been bad at each. I really want to see what he does this week. Anything positive on him this week will get me on him for next week. He just needs to get his irons back in form where they were a little bit earlier in the year because when we're thinking about chipping off of tight surfaces and putting on Bermuda, that rolls pretty straight, like Phoenix greens, even in Hawaii, those sorts of things. Like those are places where he has putted well in the past. I think that Pinehurst is going to resemble those types of greens a little bit more, and we know how good he is from around the greens. For this week, like Seb Straka giving me some vibes here. 3 top 10s at his past 4 starts. Yeah. He was very much in the mix last year too.
Yeah, that's another name I should have included with the few that I put in sort of this middle tier. He can maybe actually win. I don't mind him.
Won at a Jack course as well. He won PGA National.
Yeah, straight flusher. That would be another one. And sometimes he shows up in these really, really strong fields. I do think an interesting element, like we get used to, is in the past, Pat, we'd say these week before the majors, because the players would never play. It'd be like Phil and a couple other guys, right? Like a handful of years ago would play these weeks, and everyone would go. The major betting odds traffic would really only go one way. Now, like with so many high-end players playing and live, like it's really the numbers go all over the map. I'd say. Like there's way more two-way traffic as opposed to now where there's been no dips. Like just went to see Hideki's number 4 next week. It's not nearly as high as it was for the US for the PGA, but that's because they haven't reset anything. Like they haven't, you only move up, your odds only get shorter if you play well. No one's odds have gotten worse because they played poorly.
Zalatoris is 33-1 next week. He's 75-1 this week.
Yeah, that is a perfect example of the one-way traffic. That being said, at Wells Fargo, like during like the weekend of Wells Fargo, there were a lot of Xander 20s, and then he went off at 14.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying, like the good players. It's something I used to like betting the week before the major. Is like the books is like it's just a straight crack, but now the players are actually playing the week, and form bleeds in. So it doesn't actually feel like as dumb as it used to. That's all I'm saying, or as pointless as it used to. That's all. At some point this week, I'm sure we'll get our DraftKings numbers and our reset on some odds boards. Usually come for the weekend.
Okay. So Straka, Siwoo, Henley, Ben An, these are the names that I'm floating around. Even Zalatoris. I might just make the bet because the number is big and it probably should be a lot shorter than that. Is there anyone else in this range up to 100 that you want to talk about? Because I have 2 guys from beyond 100 I like.
Not really. You mentioned Will Easy. You're almost just like hoping the ceiling's there, but it doesn't really seem like it. Keegan's been striping it.
Yeah.
But that you'd have to do placings. I mean, I'm not betting Keegan if you're one of those guys that want to. Feel like you should. But no, for me, Finau Connors, Tom Kim, and Seth, you mentioned. Those would be the players in that cluster that I'll be looking at.
And if I don't bet Keegan, you can almost guarantee that he's going to win. So I've bet him the last 2 times that he's played. And he's played pretty well both those times. He came in second at Colonial. Dude just couldn't make any putts on Saturday at the PGA Championship, but was leading everyone off the tee, which was crazy to think about. And his off the tee game the past 2 weeks has been amazing. So even he's someone who top 5'd at Pinehurst last time that they played there. Maybe he's someone to give a shout to. 100-1 and beyond. I went to the Fienberg Wheel of Losers and pulled out Thomas Dietrich at 125-1, someone who had a great Valhalla and has played like pretty decently here as well. And just he can putt. So kind of ride the good vibes with that. We just had another Euro guy win last week. Maybe he can break through at Jack's place. And then I ended up betting Lee Hodges at 175-1. I took top 5 placements on each of those guys. Hodges has been good recently.
Oh. I can't not bet Detry now. Can't not.
Okay.
Can't not.
I already have.
Playing great. Hodges, yeah, Hodges. People, who was it? A couple weeks ago. Where were we? Before last
Smalls
week?
was on Hodges at Colonial. Came 12th.
Yeah, no, a lot of people were on Hodges at Colonial. And you looked at the numbers, it made a lot of sense. He has been striping it. 175, how many placings?
5.
Not that it matters. Well, it does matter, but
I always take the 5 because I get the better outright number. I'm still more concerned about the outright number.
Okay, I see this guy on the grid who I wouldn't mind at this number, but Baroff's bitching to me in my DMs that he's not in the field. I'm seeing Keith Mitchell on a grid at 150, but Baroff just messaged me it's completely ridiculous Keith Mitchell isn't here.
He's on the odds board.
He's invited.
Is he just not playing? Is that the reason? Like, did he decide he's going to pass this week?
Oh, maybe he didn't get in.
Let's see. I'll look at the official field list right now. See if Killa Keith is in there. Mitchell. Yeah, he's not in. Didn't get the invite.
They let in some real big dolts, I saw.
Well, it's the same guys that get invited for the sponsors event for all the elevated events. They can't invite Webb Simpson anymore because they've hit the max on him. They can't invite Adam Scott. He's hit the max right now. So it's Kuchar, Noren's a sponsor exemption, Snedeker is, and Billy Horschel is.
I guess Billy Horschel's a past champion, but
And he did win like 4 weeks ago or something. Like he should be in this field anyway.
yeah, I agree. But so should Keith Mitchell. Brant Snedeker should withdraw so Keith Mitchell could play, like out of embarrassment.
I mean, shouldn't Keith Mitchell, with the way that you think about Keith Mitchell in your mind right now, that shouldn't he be in the Aon next 10 by now? You would think, but he's not. Like Pendrith is ahead of him in FedEx Cup points.
I don't think you've ever really seen him on my cards, but I know my friends bet him all the time, and he strikes the ball beautifully. But the way people bet him, the way he's kind of where his odds are in those B tier events, you'd think he'd for sure be in the Memorial, but I guess not. Lost in the mail.
He has 3 top 10s this year. He had a 10th last week, a tie for 10th. He was 9th at the Honda and 9th at the American Express. Those are his best finishes this year.
But the data, Pat.
Pretty good top 20 bet so far this year. He has a lot of like 17ths and 14ths and 20ths, but just no high-end performances. That's going to keep you out of these fields.
That's true. And while I agree he should be here, and you know me, it's not hard to me to find a battle I want to fight. Standing for Keith Mitchell is not the battle I do, although like as a high crown visor enthusiast, and it is essentially becoming extinct. We always need him around.
So just even to look at it, of what he's done in the bigger purse and bigger FedEx Cup events so far, he was in the elevated field at Pebble of 65 guys. He came 54th. He was the worst player who made the cut at the Players and came 73rd, and he missed the cut at the PGA Championship. He's not doing himself any favors once he gets into these bigger events.
All very good and fair points. Detry, you were obviously playing placements.
Yes, 5.
Just opened it up. Because he never wins, this is a really dumb thing to say, but seems like he's either really freaking good or just
horrible.
Yeah, despite some middling results, like from an outright bet, he actually does sort of have the profile. Seems like an ideal placings bet. Said it a few times. Maybe that's one that I'll actually get this chubber to click.
Yeah, and listen, he played well at Valhalla. Most of it was chipping and putting. I'm not going to deny that, but sometime Billy Horschel won here 2 years ago with chipping and putting. Denny almost won here last year with chipping and putting. Like, you can do that. Like, the other one I was thinking about that we didn't bring up was, because I lose money on him every week, but Lowry has played really well here, just played well at Valhalla, and if he didn't putt himself out of it on Thursday in Hamilton, it felt like he could have been in it, but he was just so far out. Rallied to make the cut. He ended up coming like T23 or something like that. But not everyone can be Rory, that if you have a middling day one, then you go out and shoot 62 and get yourself back into it. Just if Lowry could just not lose 4 strokes in a round putting, he'd be fine. Just lose like 1 or something like that, and don't kill yourself.
Hard to disagree with any of that. At least in a past life, this felt like a very prototypical what was it? Like, this is kind of like Bridgestone, right?
Yeah,
it feels like it has similarities.
Very much so. A big crossover between the old Bridgestone and this, and obviously that's the site of Lowry's only American win, or inside the United States win. The past 3 years here, 16th, 32nd, 6th. He's gained strokes putting every year at this event. He's going to hit a ton of fairways because you don't want to miss the fairway here. We know his approach game. We know his around the green game. I don't know. If I bet him at 25 last week, like, what's the difference between betting him at 25 last week and 80 this week?
I guess a bit of, field strength, but I don't mind that. There's probably ways to make money on Lowry.
But if he is going to win, I don't care who he's really playing. Like, if he can't beat Ben Griffin and these guys, it's because he sunk himself with the putter. If he doesn't beat Scotty Scheffler, maybe Scheffler just waxes the field and wins by a touchdown. But if Lowry actually is making putts for a week, like, he can contend with anyone.
I don't disagree with any of that. There's a lot of fair points there. His statistical profiles is great. I like to bet tons of guys who I'm just banking on putt luck. It seems like a good course fit. You trust him against some of these big boys. I don't know, the Sunday putter, whatever. But
he's a major champion. Like
not-
eventually, people get credit for things.
I agree. I'm just trying. I think you've made a very good case. I'm just trying to present the devil's advocate to it. It's outright golf betting. It's hard. If he loses, it just goes on the other pile of the other freaking loser tickets. Like, it doesn't matter. It does seem like there's probably a way to invest in Lowry this week, even outside the outright market. You mentioned placings, but like DFS, I don't even know if pricing is out. Higher placement markets. I bet him in. He was my one and done last week, so I was happy with a bit of the charge that he made. Not happy overall with that performance. I don't hate that. I don't hate it.
Let's talk LIV, because LIV is in Houston this week. I haven't made any bets for LIV as of yet, but Bryson is now the favorite over on LIV. He's 8-1. Neiman is 10. Brooks is 12. Cam is 12. Gooch is 14. Hatton's 14. Louis is 18. Answer, Burmeister, DJ, all at 20-1. And then it's a drop off into like Ortiz, Reed, Herbert, Casey, these kind of guys. Do you have any particular lean on this? Because I think about Texas. Like, Paul Casey's been good in Texas over his career.
Yeah, so I have one LIV bet. It's 150-1. I'll get to that in a moment.
Matt
so
Jones?
No, it is down. It's down the board. So this is apparently where we used to play the Houston Open, Pat.
Is it?
That's what I sometimes LIV doesn't make it the easiest.
They really don't, about trying to figure out the course and everything like that.
And I believe you mentioned Casey had won that, like a lot of bowls, flushers.
So you bet
like
you bet Brendan Steele then?
No, I didn't. I'm betting a ceiling guy at the back. Don't worry about that. We'll get to that in a moment. But let me just find it here.
GC of Houston.
Mickelson, Anthony Kim, Poulter, Casey, Jones, they have all won here. Stenson, Ortiz were close there. So it seems like an Iron Flusher's bit of a venue. So I'd be looking at your Answers, your Louis, Hatton, I think is obviously probably placed well here. Yeah, Casey. I'll probably bet Casey, and I just want you to confirm. I'll feel really stupid if it's not the same course. Golf Club of Houston.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I'm trying to find it right now. I don't remember it, but there's certain things that I don't remember. TPC Woodlands is the TPC at Woodlands through 2020. It moved near Humble in 2003, where it stayed for 17 years. Initially played at the members course. It changed to the tournament course. Yeah, and is now the facility was known as the Redstone Golf Club until 2013, and is now the Golf Club of Houston. Okay, so yes.
So yeah, Stenson, like, I don't know. It seemed like a place for flushers.
But it seems like there's two courses here, so I don't know if it's the same course or not.
I don't. So let me just, I guess, get some. Well, I don't think I'll be able to not bet Peters at 50-1. He's been playing some really quality golf around the world at this moment of time. Again, came out of retirement, traded with Harold Varner, who has happily stepped into retirement. So Peters at 50, but the bet I made is Chikara, 150-1. That's the bet. Lopez Chikara.
Well, I saw Baroff bet him. Is that the only reason you bet him?
He's been playing well.
Has he? I have no idea.
Qualified for the U.S. Open. Had a good finish in the Thailand event. He's finally coming around.
Okay.
I dumped enough money into this freaking guy. I like betting the talent at the back.
Okay.
And Peters for me as well, and then a ball striker. So I don't know, maybe a Paul Casey. Who can tell me who's like striking the ball? If Answer's striking the ball lovely, then I would like to bet Answer.
I don't feel like he is. Like, he had that one win over in Oman a few months ago, but it doesn't feel like he's done anything since. Maybe I'm just wrong. I'm like, I just really wish it was easier to find live information.
I know Bland's playing well.
Yeah, you're coming off a win.
I actually noted, and I don't know, some people say it's a shot. Sometimes you can't resist. Bobby Mack winning, like, totally shocked me. That's just him and Rory, the only guys from that European Ryder Cup team with wins this year. Good team.
I guess technically
Ramen
Ludwig has the win. He won the RSM.
was that before or after it?
It was after the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, good point. I guess if I'm going to count like Colin in Japan for guys on the other side, then yeah, Ludwig RSM definitely got to count.
Yeah, I mean, when Scotty's winning most of the events, it becomes tough. And technically, Fleetwood won on the DP World Tour, so he got a win too.
So tell me, well, you know, sometimes when you get the full experience of all like the Tommy close calls, the double bogey on like just ejecting immediately in some ways is also like not the worst for when you're gonna just lose anyway. Ejecting immediately, you know, like when you cheer for a team they just go down 21-0, instead of like, you know, making me sweat this 2-point heartbreaker. Okay, thanks for letting me go home. Seemed like he was putting great, but couldn't drive the ball. Couldn't do a lot of things, but he putted well, Tommy. At least in his big round on Saturday.
Should we bet the Aussie team at this live event? You know, Matt Jones with a win here. Appleby won here twice. Adam Scott has a win at this course. Maybe we bet Leishman. I don't know what he's been up to. Bet him.
The Rippers.
All right, well, I feel like we ran out of steam on that one. We should probably get to the quick picks for the Memorial and Live. What I got going on so far, Vic at 19, Dietrich at 125 to 1 with 5 places, Lee Hodges at 175 to 1 with 5 places. I'm going to give Colin an extra look here to see if that number falls a little bit. I don't think that it's going to, so I'll see what I end up doing with him. And in that middle range, I like Ann, I like Siwoo, I like Henley, and I'll probably, right as we finish, go bet Seb Straka at 75 to 1. How about you?
2 bets. Vic, enhanced win, 20 to 1. Connors, 70 to 1. I am looking at Tom Kim, Tony Finau, Seb Straka, or we just screw them all and just dip right back to Colin.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very much on the table this week for what I want to do. One and done picks. Cust is taking Corey Connors. Aaron Rye floundered on Sunday. That was no fun when he was 3 over on the front 9. The only guy on the course not shooting like 64. He ended up coming 14th though, so I end up getting the win on that, and I will use Vic as my one and done.
I don't really know what I'm even supposed to do.
Pick someone good because this is one of the biggest purses of the year.
Colin. I burned him?
Yes, you used him at the Players' Championship.
Now I've got to go deep. This is horrible. This is out of the clouds. Except Siwoo Kim.
You've used Siwoo Kim at the Heritage.
I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. Use Rory, use Scotty. I don't want to burn them. Oh my god. In 3, 2, 1, Tom Kim. Use them.
No, you have Tom Kim available. He can be your pick.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Thank you.
TK going to you for the one and done.
Yeah, we got a big week next week, Pat.
That I know. So here's what I got going. I got Vincenzi for the player-by-player. That's on Friday.
Ooh.
I have Keith Stewart for the Pinehurst Breakdown. That's probably Saturday, early Sunday. And I might even break that up into 2 shows because I ended up talking to him for like 45 minutes about the course. So maybe I make the research another show. Me, you, and Cust on Monday. Me, Cam, and Byron for Best Bets on Tuesday. Tambo and I, Tambo in Studio Wednesday. Cut Sweat Live on Friday with me, you, Cust, whoever wants to show up and chat along with us for that. Or if people don't have the time to come and do that Cut Sweat with us, then whatever. We'll figure it out. I'll be here. I'll be doing the Cut Sweat. So a huge U.S. Open week. Tambo got got 2 of his 3 entries through in the Fantasy Golf World Championship. So
Yes.
he's given away 5% of the money that he ends up winning of the final leg. So if he gets through this week, I mean, that 5% could be 50 grand. If people get into the giveaways. We'll have all the giveaway information starting on Wednesday this week. But if you want to get a head start on it, then code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy. Get yourself that deposit bonus, and boom, that gives you the most ballots in the draw from my end for not only that giveaway, but all of the giveaways, cash giveaways, fantasy national giveaways that are coming for the U.S. Open. Are you doing anything extra special this week?
I'm getting out of town.
Oh, we're
Heading up north. Headed up north. Should be great. I'm going glamping.
Okay. That doesn't, like, are you staying in a tent?
No, just long story short, my buddy runs a camp, and before like school ends, it's an overnight camp. They do a lot of corporate groups or like team building, like, you know, big things. They'll rent out and that sort of stuff. And someone canceled last minute. So, you know, he gets his big deposit, and I guess he's invited a bunch of us to come out. So it's going to be this like mix of Great American Summer meets Indian Summer. But yeah, no, it's great. I mean, loaded all weekend. I'm like, just give me all the fruity twisted teas, the High Nooners tequila, the High Nooners vodka. If you want beer from my cooler, it's only going to be mass-produced American beer. Coors Light, Mountains Peak Blue, Miller Lite. Don't come to me for any of that bougie shit. Okay? Oh, but it's gonna be great. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good.
No,
So I won't see shit. I won't see nothing this weekend.
no woke Bud Light for you, huh?
Oh, Bud Light too. I like Bud Light.
Too
I like.
woke.
You know
no,
what?
Can't drink it. Too woke. Make you too woke.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind it. It fits. It fits. It's not my. Listen, you can make this thing of it, but Coors and Miller Lite have always been my preferred. Anyone who knows me knows there would be no controversy there. People from the outside can. It's easy to see how that could be anything, but goes down, mass produced. It fits. But I'm not really like Budweiser, Bud Light. They've never really been my mass produced of choice. I'm always pretty much a Blue Mountains guy. Always love them. I love it. I don't mind when my beer tastes a bit like water. Doesn't bother me one bit. Get some like notes.
Well, we'll get a very high energy Jeff next Monday for the U.S. Open show.
Be low end. Oh, I'll get through it on adrenaline. I love major championships. That's like a fetish. So it'll be 2 great weekends back to back.
Yeah, it's Sleepy Jeff.
And honestly, the futures community, like Ludwig second at the Masters. There was a huge futures crowd with the Brysons at the U.S. Open. We'll see. It's been close, but we'll see. Or at the PGA. I'm excited. Pinehurst should be fucking awesome.
I agree. And like I have that 50-1 Wyndham Clark future. If you had told me a month ago that his number might be bigger than 50-1 by the time we get to next week, I would have called you a liar. But here we are.
How many of Tim's picks will be LIV players?
All of them? Although he likes Bobby Mack. He told me that.
Of course he does.
McIntyre might still be drunk by the time they get to Pinehurst. Who knows? Good for him. Anyway, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Smash the like, sub to the channel. On the way out, again, code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy. Help out the show and get yourself a deposit bonus of up to $250. All right? I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!